And we're live. We're live to a special night, special episode of Indie Comics interviews. And tonight we have our guests, the Barton Brothers, Barton Bros.
That's us.
That's you guys. They're working on a great little project, as we have up in front of you here. You guys pronounce it KOZOR? KOZOR? What do you guys?
Corey?
KOZOR.
Well, I call it KOZOR, Descent into KOZOR, because that sounds cool. You know, like it's hard hitting. It slaps you in the face.
Well, there's a way you can say it where it's the emphasis on the first syllable or the second syllable, and that's where I was trying to go. If it's KOZOR or KOZOR, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I would say the second way you said it. Yeah, it's a bit more. You know, it's got a bit more punch to it.
Yeah. All right. So great. Yeah. So, why don't you go ahead and give us the background before the elevator pitch? So, like, where did all this come from? What I know that you told me that your brother had I got a lot of information on it last night. So you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm going to ask questions that I know a lot of the answers to, trying to get you to expand on it. So
totally.
So tell us about how it all started. How you said your brother had it all together first, and then so please tell us the story.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, So Corey, do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it? Well, you can expand if you want.
I guess I'll talk a bit about the beginning. Like KOZOR was basically dot points I wrote on my phone at like the train station when I was bored. So that's like practically how it started. And then, comics like Berserk really encouraged me to like actually do the comic. And so basically, I'd finished like this whole first issue of KOZOR, been working on issue 2, and then, Clayton wanted to put it on Indiegogo, and he wanted to like remaster it. If you want to go for that, Clayton?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So basically, you really just gave the abridged version of everything that happened. So this started out is like this Corey underplays this so much, but it was like this insanely complex, vast plethora of ideas that he had for KOZOR, and it was all sitting inside his brain. I'd come home from work, we were living together, he'd tell me about it, and I was like, what the heck is this story? It sounds amazing. I was wondering how it all fit together, how all the pieces of the puzzle were going to eventually fall into place. And I'm like, dude, you got to do this book. And so I forget how long it took you. How long did it take you to start KOZOR and then to finish it?
Dude, I think the first issue must have took about like 2 years, because I was working on another comic called The Vault at the time as well.
Yeah,
and that was where I sort of experimented with like my art style and everything.
Honed your skill set, yeah. So it took him like 2 years to put this thing together, and he was doing it all himself. So he wrote it, he illustrated it, he inked it and colored it. It was all his baby, right? But over the course of 2 years, you can imagine, like, especially being a young artist, your skill set is just going to keep stepping up and evolving more and more, week in and week out, month in and month out. And over the course of that 2 years, that's exactly what happened to Corey. He did improve along the way. And so, what he ended up with is this great product, had an awesome story. It was weird. It was strange. It was nothing that you'd ever seen before. It wasn't a regular comic book that you'd find sitting on a comic book store shelf.
Yeah, man.
And it was something close to both our hearts. Like, we both loved the Berserk manga series. We loved video games like The Witcher. Corey used to show me that all the time. He's a huge fan of that franchise. It reminds me of Dark Souls. It's kind of a mix between Conan and Berserk, right?
Yeah, man. Like, what I'll say, like, there's no other comic that was like Berserk that I had read at the time. And I'm like, dude, this is what I want to see more in comics, like that fantasy horror, hot women, brutal masculine dudes beating up people and stuff, and monsters,
Monsters, yeah. What were you going to say, Sim?
I say I love that story.
Yeah.
Berserk, and
yeah.
It's good, man. And it holds nothing back, and KOZOR is exactly the same, right? Like there's lots of blood, guts, beasts, hot babes, and it's
Did
definitely not political correct.
Did you guys ever read Slain? Because it gave me a little vibe of Slain too
Yeah,
when I first watched it. When I first looked at it.
100%, man. Falls right in there next to Slain. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that book, have you, Corey? I've definitely seen it.
I think I've heard the name, but I
Yeah,
can't remember what it's like.
It's by
totally badass.
Pat Mills and Simon Bisley.
Yeah,
And
All right.
dude.
he did it all
I
in all.
think I must have seen it like Clayton showed me it once.
Yeah, maybe I did.
Yeah.
So it's got that flavor to it. Anyway, so the story goes on. KOZOR issue 1, it just kind of got finished and then sat there, right? We didn't publish it, we didn't print it, we didn't get it out there. And Corey was very happy with what he had. He was satisfied enough to start on issue 2. And he belted out issue 2 in about 3 years as well. Or was that 1 year? Maybe it only took you 1 year to get KOZOR 2 done.
I think it was about like maybe a year and a half, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, every now and then, I'd catch up with Corey on the weekends. Usually we catch up, we watch some movies, we chill, we hang. And every now and then we'd pull out that old issue of KOZOR that Corey had done up, and I'd flip through it, I'd take a look at it, just while I was, maybe he was off cooking something or making a coffee, I'd flip through it while I was waiting for him to come back. And one day I was like, dude, this is actually a sick book. Like we seen Ethan Van Sciver and his success. We saw all of you guys and what you were doing with your projects and the success that they were seeing. I'm like, I bet KOZOR would do great on Indiegogo. Like people would love this, and it deserves to be out there. And the potential readers that we could get on board, they deserve to check it out.
Yeah.
So the very next day we set up the pre-launch page for KOZOR. And we then got everything together and put in place for the actual campaign itself. And I think we launched like a month or two, maybe a few months later.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are today, man, with an incredible amount of support from now 301 backers who have jumped on board for this project. We couldn't be more stoked that there's going to be that many people holding KOZOR in their hands. Like that's rewarding enough for us. Like, it blows us away.
You say that Witcher inspired part of it too, also in Berserk. Another series I liked a lot. But is it just a video game that or you also like? It's also inspired by the novels.
It's more a video game, man. Like I played Witcher 3, like heaps of Witcher 3. It's like the only one I played, but it's got so many cool things in it.
But you played the Berserk game too, right?
Oh yeah, I got the Berserk games.
Yeah.
I do love Berserk, just the whole style of it and everything.
Yeah, it's a badass book series.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Like it was honestly surprising when I read Berserk because it's like so different to any other comic like I'd read out there, man. Like you wouldn't think it.
You have a tendency of thinking that it's just a big, the story of a big brute with a big sword hitting a lot of bad things and with big boobs. And it has way more substance to it. It just takes a while because there's a big setup all the way. Like maybe there's like a lot of tome 5, like in the regular tomes, not the deluxe one. The deluxe one, it's maybe like the end of tome 2 that it picks up. But I think it's like in the original, it's like 5 or 6. But it all builds up to that moment that's called, the eclipse.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
And the anime was great too. The original one.
If you're going to try it, try to hold on until you at least reach the eclipse, then make up your mind if you're going to keep up or stop.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I see something. Does somebody pop in? Yes, he did. He made it. Okay, we were taking odds.
Most definitely. Oh, I
right, so who had the bet that he'd show up late? Who was?
I think that was just you, man.
Yeah, we all thought he was going to be late. You're the one that put all your money that he was not going to show up.
I told you boys I was back. But yeah, oh man, everything that you guys are saying, Slain, boing, Berserk, boing, and the art to this is just spectacular. It's
Thank you, man.
it's just it's just, as I said last night on our GE stream. As soon as I'm out of broadcast pitch, as soon as I get my next disbursement, which will be this week, I'm back in this sucker. So everybody, back this book. It looks absolutely spectacular. I feel ashamed and embarrassed that I didn't know about it until last night.
Well, man, if you love any of those titles, you're gonna love KOZOR for sure. Man, we're looking forward to holding this book in our hands in proper printed form for the first time as well. It's going to be really surreal.
I'll use that to another example on how Twitter is shitty. We're all in the same goddamn DM groups.
Yeah.
And we're all retweeting our freaking campaigns, and there's still some that we're like, what?
Yeah, there's some gems out there, some hidden gems that, and new ones keep popping up every single day as well. It's a wonderful time for independent creators, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, it is. As time goes by, we're all going to find that it's going to get more and more challenging. So it's better that we get in when we got in, so we can start building our audiences now, learn the game, so that we don't have to figure it out when it's just a mess of people and too much noise to ever filter through. Which we're getting close to that point now. Like people who are just trying to break in now, they need help. You know what I mean? There's no way. There's no way anybody can do like I did and just jump in and be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? I got this book. What are we doing?" You know what I mean? There's just no way.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's why what we're doing is even more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely, and also the fact that we use our platforms, that we use the audiences that we have, the clout that we have to introduce people to these awesome new books. And the cream of the crop will rise to the top. But it is true that there are so many books now that a lot of really special stuff like this can maybe get lost in the shuffle.
Totally, man.
That's what we have to. That's what we have to avoid. We have to, use our voices and our platforms to let people know. Like, I'm letting everybody know. It's like, oh man, like if you like Six Gun Gorilla, you're almost certainly going to get off on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things about doing this this show. I'll probably always do like an interview show. I don't know if it'll always be called Indie Comics Interviews or whatever, but we're definitely always going to do a show that features books. And the reason why is because I can't afford to back all the books that I want to back.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Me too.
I currently have 73, 74 books that I've backed in the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the fucking math. You know what I mean?
I'm at about 56, I think. But that's the thing. Most of us are creators. We're also backers too.
Yep.
But it's true. We can't back everything, unfortunately. But
there
we can always put the word
a time
out
we
there.
could. The sad thing is there was a time we could.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
There was a time that all the books that were being crowdfunded in the community were you could back them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that number has like been multiplied by 10.
Try 20.
Right? Yeah.
And we hope that every new person that comes on board, we want to put them out there, and hopefully they will start up their own channels, cultivate their own audiences, and help to get us out there as well. And hopefully every new person, every new creator is a new outlet of promotion for us. So it kind of works both ways in that sense. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go in that direction. I think that there's some new people who jump on board who have a ton of expectations, not just for other people, but for themselves. They see all this success and they want a piece of it for themselves. But, there's a lot that goes into it. Building an audience is probably one of the most difficult, long, drawn-out processes of this entire thing, and by far one of the most important.
Yeah.
It's so true.
The fact that it's so easy to have something missed. Because first of all, Twitter being the strongest outreach that we have, it is actually a disaster, because Twitter's like you don't want to saturate Twitter, because then people will start ignoring you and muting you. You know what I mean? And
right.
you don't, and then that, if the more a person is muted, the less that they appear just in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
it's not just yours because you muted them, but I mean, you're actually, if enough people mute somebody, then they actually, Twitter will actually dumb down their results anyway.
Wow,
it's just
that's hardcore.
Yeah,
and then you've got other platforms like Reddit, for instance, that are so heavily policed by anti-CG and by the SJW community that we're not allowed to advertise our books on there.
Dude, really? On Reddit?
Yeah.
It seems so opposite to that once upon a time. It was
Once
like
upon a time.
I saw it. It's like the cool platform.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is the mainstream industry feels threatened by us, and so they just brand us all alt-right Yahtzees, and that's enough to get us banned from Reddit and other platforms. It's those platforms are very heavily policed, and who knows what tomorrow is going to bring, right? Like Kickstarter is heavy duty with the censorship, Indiegogo not so much right now. YouTube, for instance, as a platform, there's so many people that are working day in, day out, like my man Drew, day in, day out, busting their asses, building their YouTube platforms, and boom, tomorrow it could all be gone.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, and you got to prepare for the storm, because it's going to come at some point, and that's why, you got to have a backup plan for everything. If you've got a YouTube channel, set a channel up on Vimeo or something. If you're worried about Indiegogo going out of fashion or changing their policies, start a website and get your books up on there.
Just don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
And think about what are you gonna do next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been a businessman, run my own business for a very long time now. I mean, seriously, we're coming up on probably 20 years where I've been running my own business.
Yeah.
Let's say 15. Easy 15. It's actually more than that, but it's an easy 15. So in all that time, the things that I've learned is that building a client base that you can communicate with and regularly interact with there's nothing better than having an engaged client base. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But the challenge is engaging that client base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to offend them. You don't want to put them off. You know what I mean? And with social media, it's easier to engage people. It gets harder and harder and harder again as the market gets saturated. It gets harder and harder and harder to engage people, and because it's like people don't want to be like, oh, hey, buy my shit. They don't want to hear that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to discover your shit and say, oh my god, that's cool.
Yeah.
I can. You know what I mean? And then here's the biggest challenge that we face as indie comics creators. The biggest challenge we have is price point.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge, because I can't tell you how many people said I would love to get your book, but it's not at my comic book store, and I don't want to pay $10 shipping on top of the cover price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's just because in all reality, if the cover price is $5, $10 shipping is twice. You know what I mean? So it triples the cost of the freaking book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, man.
So
it's also hard for independent creators, though, to offer them the 40% that they want. So there needs to be an adjustment there.
Well, the problem is it's not that there needs to be an adjustment. There needs to be an industry developed for indie producers so that we can reliably produce things in a large scale bulk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for instance, if there was like a company which does not exist at this point, there was a company that invested in successful crowdfunders. It's like, okay, here's a project that has a fan base, it has real potential. They've done 2, 3, 4, 5 successful campaigns. They're just keep plugging along. It's like, okay, well, maybe this series, needs to be, and then like, there's not just 1 or 2 people like that. I mean, seriously, at this point, there's like fucking, 15, 20, book series or producer creators that have successfully done campaign after campaign after campaign now. Those creators, they can't afford to like just print 10,000 books and then do all the and they don't have the connection to contact LCSs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't, so it's like the cost associated to everything is just is unreasonable.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're playing in a field right now which has up until this point been exclusively owned by large corporations. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of working our own way around it and navigating it as best we can. And so, yeah, at the moment, it's just a situation where in order for us to be able to get these comic books out, we've got to put a higher price tag on them. And, to me, that makes them a little bit more of an exclusive product because that's exactly what they are. If you look at KOZOR here, for example, like let's say that by the time everything is said and done, it gets to 350, say 400 backers max, right? That's only 400 people who are going to have that book in their hands. Like that's a very, very limited print run. It's extremely rare. And so you can imagine if there was only 400 issues of the first Spawn issue ever printed, how extremely valuable that would be right now.
That is a great approach, and that is great. That is a great point. But as a marketer, I sit back and I think about that. You know what I mean? And then that's okay. So there's only 400 of that to get out there, to circulate, to tell people about it. You know what I mean? There's only really limits the reach and the growth potential of the property when you know what I mean? So like when I think about it, I approach it differently with the Captain Love series. I actually overprint. I crowdfund to have the money to print and collect an inventory so I can put it in demand and let people order it as a store. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I get that too.
You know what I mean? And so that way, and that's how I get. And I honestly, I actually plan to do conventions. That the fact that we have COVID like this, like the fact that COVID came on like it did, screwed up my entire business plan, and I had to like shift everything because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, because the plan was, to blow out all of my inventory for my first run in the conventions, do a second run, and then start, getting that into bookstores on top of doing more conventions and more crowdfunding, and you know what I mean. And the thing is like the COVID, because I can't get out there and do the conventions because I can't get my book in front of as many people as possible. You know what I mean? And that slows. And that's my business model. You know what I mean? So like, so the fact that that's been hindered, I've been having to try and adjust and figure out new things. But the beauty is I've been able to have time to spend creating a lot more content. Like I have,
cool.
Yeah, 6 posters. I have 2 chapters plus the first volume. I got pinups. I got trading cards. It's
awesome.
So like when I go and actually do my next convention, my table is going to be full with a variety of shit. When before it was 9 trading cards and a book and a variant. You know what I mean? It's like the number has exponentially accelerated. But
that's really cool.
So the reason why I mentioned all that is maybe you guys should. I mean, you're up to 17K. You know what I mean? You guys maybe might want to consider when you go in demand, thinking about having, ordering an extra 400 books. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Because once you've already paid for the setup, ordering the extra books actually reduces the price per book, which means in the long run it increases your profit factor. Not just So
it's pretty good.
Yeah, big time, man. And we've got the bartonbros.com website, and I'm planning on setting up a store on there for just that. We're going to overprint. We're going to make sure that those copies are available on the site. And I think it's great to hear your mindset from a business point of view. Because I'm a bad businessman. Who am I kidding, right? I'm a terrible businessman.
Most of us are,
I love
suck at business.
Yeah, like I love internet marketing.
Yeah.
I'm a huge, I looked into that. I studied that for an extremely long time. Absolutely love this stuff. But when it comes to money, I'm all over the shop. Like I don't, because I don't like I need enough money to keep on doing what I want to do, but in terms of like getting as much money out of every single point of value as possible, I'm not great at it.
Yeah.
You know, to me, time is worth far more. That's why. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but you know, for me, I am asking questions like we got a great audience for how to draw comics.net on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram's still growing, Twitter's still growing, but how do we make sure that the audience we're cultivating on those platforms are interested in the kind of book that we're creating and are willing to jump on board with it? Because up until this point, they've been really interested in how to draw stuff, you know, tutorials, books, courses, that kind of thing.
Right.
But now it's like, how do you transition them over into comic book fans? Because my assumption has always been that people who want to learn how to draw comic books are interested in reading comic books.
Yeah.
That is true, but also you got to remember that people who are interested who want to learn how to draw comic books necessarily can't always afford to buy a comic book at the price point we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I mean, that I mean, in all reality, I get that feedback on the regular. I mean, you know, it's the price point is, if we were, let's just say, if we had able to compete with LCSs on price point, you know what I mean? We you know, and it was like a known thing, like everybody was aware of that, you know.
What's an LCS?
A local
store.
Local comic book shop. Yep,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah,
Got you.
and so if we were able to compete on like that, you know, online and still make a profit and everything, you know, that would change the game. You know what I mean? Because they would buy from us all the time. You know what I mean? But the thing is it's just, it's not viable. I mean, I lower my prices. I try to lower mine as low as I possibly can. I get creative by incorporating the shipping for domestic into it so that it actually costs them less, but still doesn't make them think the quality is lower, because but I'm taking the hit. I'm not gouging people on these books. I'm not like, okay, this is a premium book, you're paying $15 for a 24-page comic book. No. I'm like, you're paying $15 for a 24-page comic book, bagged and boarded, all the extras that come in the campaign, and that's shipped all for $15. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So which is what, $20 cheaper than, you know, they're probably used to paying, you know? So
yeah. Like, what about actually selling books to the comic shops? Like, I heard Alternate Comics talking about that on a last stream.
Yeah, no,
the way to do that.
That is actually one of my end goals. It was actually my lead goal when I started. You know what I mean? That's the reason why I did it all, because I wanted to raise enough money so I could print enough books so that I could get them into LCSs, you know, nationally. The challenge is this, okay? You want to be able to get the individual book itself, you know, price point down enough that you can get it to the LCSs, right? In a bulk rate. So like they're like, say if the book has a $4, you know, $3.99 cover price, and it's like that, or, you know, let's just go graphic novels. We mostly do graphic novels. I've been doing the things, but I'm working towards graphic novels. So let's just like graphic novel price point, right? So if it's a 48-page graphic novel, right, the price point for that in the store, if you can find them, is what, $7, you know, $6.50, you know what I mean, for a 48-pager, you know, maybe even like $8. Sure. They're really rare. They expect, you know, because you're getting floppies, you know, for 30-page floppies, 2-page floppies for, you know, so it's hard to sell those. So like if you move up on size to, like, say, you know, 144 pages, which is 6 floppies combined into a graphic novel, which is the most common, right? Those range in prices between what Image charges at $15, because they want to, you know, they want the market. They want to make their books irresistible, so they charge $15, to the average price, which is what most people charge, is $25 for a 144 page, and that's what the local LCS is, right? So if you think about that, okay, how is that affordable? And that's also the same kind of pricing structure you'll find in bookstores pretty much everywhere. It's like, okay, so how is that affordable? And the reason why they do that is because they print enough books, like in bulk, in mass numbers, to where the price per book individually is like under $1. It's like 50 cents, 45 cents, 30 cents. In some cases 10 cents, because they have a contract with a printer that they send them so much regular work. Their price, their runs are so cheap. You know what I mean? Now, because they do that, they're able to afford the shipping and all that kind of stuff on the bill, still give the LCS 40% off, and Diamond in the middleman another 20%.
No, they pay the shipping.
Well, no, yeah,
the LCS they pay shipping.
Well, yes, that is true, but
and they have to pay the shipping for the returns too.
Yeah, but that's why you give them the extra break, so that the shipping really is on your back or on their back, however you want to look at it. You either you have to make it more affordable. So if they're paying the shipping, overall they still got to reach the price point out the door. So you have to give them more % off of the book.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That usually that makes them 40%. The distribution 20%. That makes 60%.
Yeah. Right. And it's interesting, man, because I completely understand where you're coming from, but I think that we've all got misconceptions about money. Because if I want something, I'll find the pennies, I'll scrape them together in order to buy that thing, even if I don't have the budget for it, because I just want it. Like, if I see a cool, kick-ass looking comic book, I'm just going to buy it, like, because it looks great. Especially if it's going to close down in like 30 days, right? Like, I need that. And, I bought some stupid shit like video games, crap that I barely even played before.
Yeah.
I was doing something while doing all this conversation.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Oh, hell yeah, Simon.
Trying to get the feel of the character, yeah.
Nice. Tearing it up, man.
I totally agree with what you're saying, Clayton. I mean, it does make sense that and I'm guilty of that. If I want something, I'm going to buy it, unless I can't afford it entirely.
Yeah.
But my point being is that if you really want to grow your series, if you want to grow your sales point, if you want, it's not about becoming a millionaire. It's about making sure that as many people possible can get your hands on the book. It's great. It's like I could have the most gorgeous fucking book in the whole world if I only got 5 copies of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's I could tell you also that most of the rest of the world, where those comic books are dominant, right? Like China, Europe, they don't have comic book store. Everything's in fucking bookstores.
Yeah. And that's the big challenge for us, I think, right now.
I mean, that's what I keep telling people. We need to aim for book distribution. There's so many options in distribution.
Well, that's the graphic novel point after the fact. Yeah, graphic novels. You go to Random House. Everybody who's listening, Random House Penguin, they will sell graphic novels. If you have a good graphic novel, they will consider picking it up.
But we also have
as long as it's
in the chat. What's up, Pops?
As long as it's 56 page and plus.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Which
like the European model type of thing. Yeah.
It's got to be perfect bound, and it's got to be an actual graphic novel that they can make a price point profit on. Yes.
So I guess the Europe market is open to us.
I guess it depends what you believe, right? Like, what do you believe the direction of the future of comics is going to be? Because when I think about it, right, like, it's actually a pain in the ass to go down to the comic book store and buy a comic book, especially when I could do it from the comfort of my own chair on Indiegogo, right?
Exactly.
They're going to send it right to my door. I'm going to order it. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, right?
Yeah.
But is it going to become a bigger and bigger thing? Are we seeing like the opposite of the big image bubble from the 90s?
I think what we're seeing is a new market developing, and the old market is not going away. It's just adjusting. You know what I mean?
It is, Okay, you're so right.
So what's really happening here is pretty obvious to anybody who studies business and has been in business for a while. It's like, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's step by step. And then there's things that are out of control, like COVID making the LCSs tank, and so a whole bunch of them have to shut down. That's a bad thing. You know what I mean? That rocks the business. But what you're missing about the comic book consumer, right? Is that they actually like to go to the comic book store and browse and pick up a book hold it in their hands.
I never had a pull list in my life.
Sniff it. And
I don't know. Me, I've seen a lot of people shifting to buy from not Amazon directly, but there's a lot of those website, right, where it's like an LCS but only online, and they offer a discount, and they offer a discount, a bigger discount, because they don't have a physical location other than a storage.
Right.
So it's directly delivered to your house, and people are liking that better.
Well, let me just put it this way: my local
because
comic book shop,
often you'll go to those local there, and you'll never find the books that you actually like.
Yeah, my local comic book shop has to have a line outside because they have a limited amount of people that can be in. You know what I mean? And there's enough people waiting to get into the comic book store, like say on Saturdays or on Wednesdays, especially because it's new comic book day. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that it's really like and most of those people are browsers. A lot of them are coming looking for something new, something specific, something flashy. You know what I mean? But it's like. So it's like you think about putting your product where people are looking. You know what I mean? That is
for sure.
There's nothing better than the comic book store as far as where people are looking. That is the absolute still best spot.
I don't know. A lot of people don't even know they have a local LCS in their neighborhood, dude.
But they're not usually. Yeah, but those people are not hardcore comic heads, dude.
Yes,
you know?
Some are.
Some, but there's always going to be an outlier. We're talking mass numbers, majorities.
And then there's the culture. Of the comic book shop, of your local comic book store, right? I'm lucky enough where we had 2. And there's something about going in, talking to people, hey, what are you reading? Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, dude, you should check this out. You know, what are like what's really popping? What should I be reading that I'm not reading? So on and so forth.
Yeah.
That sense of discovery, that sense of community, right?
Yeah.
That's something that you lose with buying comics via a online store. But
it's weird, man.
Yeah, but now if you try to do that, you get called all type of shit.
Right.
But that's what we've got here in a way, right?
Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah, man. It's
Simon's always like this is a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week Comic-Con.
Totally,
right?
Man.
Where you're hanging out with other people that share your passion for the medium.
Yeah, the difference between the two is that we still have to bring people to our shows here versus people are acquiring those locations already, and people are, you know what I mean? So it's like it's like for instance, if Comicsgate had one channel, right, and everybody came onto that channel to do their show, you know what I mean? And that was a 24-hour day thing where like, okay, look at this is your hour. You're on this today at this hour. And this is your day and hour, like a broadcasting television station.
Yeah.
If we were doing that, then that would be the spot everybody went. And then, you know what I mean? Everybody who was on there would be more successful because it would be one big growth power, right?
That's a great idea.
Well, it's standard television broadcasting. I mean, that's the challenge is you try and herd them cats, you try and work with them monkeys. You're gonna find some people are gonna have an ego and say, well, I can go do it on my own. Then you're gonna have other people trying to. I mean, that's what people find a slot that works, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna broadcast right now because people are watching right now. There's people there, and then who's going to get what hour and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be it would be a nightmare unless everybody was getting paid to do a show. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know what? You're getting paid, so you're going to take the hour you get paid to do. That would change it. You know what I mean? So there's one person in control who made the decisions, and everybody else got paid. You know what I mean? That would probably work. However, that's just not possible right now. You know. So
yeah, it'll be a tough one to work out. Definitely possible though. Yeah, man. With these crowdfunded campaigns, it's really interesting because, as I mentioned before, it's like the opposite to that image bubble in a way. Like there's a limited amount of comic books this time, and so that market's not going to get oversaturated, at least with the books themselves. But you are going to get more creators. However, at the same time, like those creators are only going to get those books out at a certain pace because a comic book takes a long time to put together. They're not a huge company, man. Like, and so it's going to be really just so interesting to see how things go. Like, you can imagine all the independent creators who decide to tap out early because it's a bit more, they're biting off more than they anticipated. Not just in regards to the production of the comic book, but also marketing it and promoting it. Like, that's a lot of tough responsibility to take on.
It is. I mean, like, I was really
also
intimidated. Oh, go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say that there's another element that as illustrators, you guys don't experience the same, and that is financing a comic book. As a writer, I got to pay my illustrator. I got to pay my colorist. You know what I mean? And
totally.
And I got to pay them up front, right? So it's like I can't just, and the thing is I can't just.
We also have to pay ourselves.
Paying yourself is fine, but guess what? It's like if you're paying yourself, you can do it in your spare time, right? Like if I was, it would just take me longer. You know what I mean? So it's not like I can't do it without paying money out of pocket, which means that I have to work extra to raise that money to pay. You know what I mean? I have to do more to raise the amount to pay, and especially since I'm trying to get this to a point where I can get a reasonable schedule, not one book a year. You know what I mean? And then, just doing one crowdfunding campaign and hope that I can make enough to make it worth the year's worth of effort. You know what I mean? I said I'm doing little campaigns, taking little bites, and hopefully all those together, make a lot of sense. Make more of that together than I would if I was, able to do it in one campaign. And then you have stuff on the regular coming out of me. You know what I mean? And then so it's a different kind of strategy. I mean, that's what I'm trying to build. And no, wait,
it is,
Before we elaborate or digress anymore, let's play this video and then go through your guys' perks before it's too long and you guys can't stay any longer.
So, yeah, heck yeah, let's do it.
KOZOR Descent into Madness features 43 full-color pages of intricately detailed art that tells a nightmare-fueled story of foul demons, abundant bloodshed, and the insidious corruption of a warrior's psyche. The story centers around a mighty warrior named Chief Baron and his clan of savage swordsmen who embark on a quest into the sacred swamplands of Nimla in search for the mysterious Faceless People, a race of submissive super soldiers who will balance out the odds in a ruthless war between man and demon. But when they're attacked by a flock of flying beasts, their journey proves more fatal than they could have ever imagined. In this campaign, backers get no less than the definitive edition of KOZOR Descent into Madness, which comes complete with refined edits, additional story pages, retouched interior artwork, and new wraparound covers. If you're a fan of dark fantasy and medieval horror, this book is for you. Back KOZOR Descent into Madness today, only on Indiegogo.
People, be a winner, not a wiener.
You just went up $40, so somebody picked up a copy while watching. So
wow, nice! Thanks so much. Really appreciate that.
Awesome. Pops in the chat, Hex in the chat, Lothar D. What's up, everybody?
What's up, everyone?
What's up, guys? Hey. Yeah, Pops agrees with me on the mainstream pricing and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like, man, you just got to have so much upfront capital to print that many copies. And you want to be sure you can sell them.
That's the challenge. And the thing is you do have to. That's why big corporations are the only ones doing it, because they have the upfront money to print that many books ahead of time and take the gamble. You know what I mean?
Totally,
especially on a new property. But they also have a larger marketing reach. They have, Twitter accounts with freaking, nearly 1 million people following them, across the board. So they're able to advertise a lot of stuff for free through social media. Then they also spend money on advertising. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so they kind of they understand the marketing game and the bigger business game. and and they're able to do that, and that's really what the game is. I mean, that really for all of us, who want to do this for real, the end game should be as many books moved as possible. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And if you like, I play the long game where I can move them all now. It'd be great. You know what I mean? And make a whole bunch of money. That'd be fantastic. However, it's not happening. You know what I mean?
Totally. I get you, man.
But I can do the long game, and I can move 1,000 books in a year and a half.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So versus settling for 250. 200. So
the main thing I think we're trying to figure out now, and we're on the verge of it, I feel, is foreign orders, right? Like, I love the fact that our comics are going to New Zealand. That I shipped comics to Belgium, Germany, right? Holland. I mean, Australia. That's absolutely wonderful. That's absolutely fantastic. But how much does it suck for us that we have to charge people like $20-25 for shipping? Right?
Yeah.
We hate doing that, but it's like, well, we have to, or we're going to just take like too massive of a hit. However, if we can organize with our brothers and sisters on different continents and be like, okay, tell you what, you print my comic and distribute it there. I'll print your comic, distribute it here. We haven't figured it out yet, but I know Simon's working on it. We're also, if we start translating our books,
the thing, there was no point doing the divided printing. What we came up with the calculation is you print your books, right? You sign them, you print as much as you want. Like, the point of the more you print, the less you pay, right? Per print.
Right.
So after that, you do a bulk shipment with a company order.
Right.
So that comes very like, it's expensive on the shot, but when you calculate it with all the orders you're sending, it's very cheap. So that's why that's how we were able to lower from 25 to 15.
Nice.
So right now what I do is I get all my books here. I prepare 4 boxes, send them to Beacon, and he does the remailing over there. And
wonderful.
That's how we were able to reduce it. And I do the opposite for him, because international, because of the Commonwealth, Australia, UK is cheaper for me.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Interesting. Yeah, see, I told you Simon was on top of this shit. And there are other issues that we need to overcome. But we have so many great creators, we have so many brilliant minds that we're going to figure this stuff out, But right now it's the Wild West. We're all trying to figure it out as we're going,
Yeah,
I had two unsuccessful campaigns before I had my first successful one.
Yeah, there'll be dramatic changes. I mean, the market as it is right now is not sustainable long term, so it's going to have to change. But
if we only knew how.
Yeah,
it already is.
Yeah. It's constantly changing, but I mean, it's gonna change dramatically, because it just does. People are not gonna. You're not gonna be able to sell Ethan Van Sciver's scale of books, every single book, through a crowdfunding campaign. You know what I mean?
Totally,
so like next time that Ethan launches a campaign that's his next book, if he can hit that goal again, that'll be amazing, because it's going to be because it's going to be hard to feed. I mean, that kind of thing. And then pulling up a second person who might be able to reach those kinds of things, it's ridiculous. However, those numbers that he sells, right? Those, I mean, are very doable through a mass distribution model. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it really comes down to like, what you can do, what you want to do. Right now, everybody's doing their own thing in their own way, and the market will shape itself.
It will, man. Exactly. And I look at the way that music went, and the way that movies went, and the way that video games have gone with platforms like Steam. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It just feels like soon there's going to be a Netflix for comic books, and I almost feel like that
DC already tried.
Indiegogo is the beginning of that in a way.
Well, DC already tried with DC Direct. Remember when they tried to do their channel? Yeah, if you were sub to their channel, you had the access to the digital archive of all the things that were coming out. That came out before.
Yeah, see, it's tough with digital, because I feel like online orders are one thing, but then digital is another thing. And it's like, do people get the same satisfaction out of having a digital comic book? Some people do, yeah.
Some
Well,
do.
I mean, it's
Some
still
prefer. Some prefer it. When you think
well
about it, that's
the
the weird thing.
biggest challenge is a lot of people could look at crowdfunding as like elitism. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, really, the kind of people that can afford to pay $25 for a fucking comic book are not a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when you consider that comic books used to be cheap entertainment.
Yeah, comic books are supposed to be a low budget medium. They're supposed to be a low budget medium. I mean, that's by design.
Like Clayton said before, so was video games, so were movies, so were novels.
Well, video games were never a low budget medium. They never really were. I mean, they were like you could go like you
could go see them for $2. Now it's like $20 to go see them.
Yeah, well, the $2 you got to think of what $2 was worth back then, though. You know what I mean?
Well, dude,
as far as inflation goes,
you could get a meat pie for $2 back then.
Movie prices.
My lifetime and take your shirt off.
Movie prices are consistent as far as inflation goes. Actually, I would say they've actually gone down a little bit compared to inflation. So,
well, now that industry is going to have to restructure, isn't it? And they're going to have to start doing what I think they should have been doing all along, which is the day that the film is released into the theaters, it should also be available on demand.
Or they could just not go work.
I'm sorry, but the European have been doing the same model for years. So to me, it's like it's simple. You either want to go the manga way, where it's like you lower down your production level. They cut all the freaking corners to reach a massive production, or you go the European way and you take your time. You do a high quality book and you sell it for $25 to $30. Except that they have the budget to offer you a hardcover. We don't. Vinny tried, and it didn't make that much money on that campaign.
I know. He really took one for the team on that one.
I mean, that's not like you can hit which market you want, right? But you know that usually if you're gonna try and hit like frequently like releasing, you're reducing quality in a bit. But it's what people are expecting if you're releasing, on a frequent like delivery like monthly or bi-monthly type of thing, or we can go as far as every 3 months if you want to release
my goal has always been to reach a quarterly schedule. If I can get to a quarterly schedule,
I don't think we could do more frequent than quarterly on a crowdfunding environment. I don't think it would be possible. I mean, I mean, it really wouldn't, because it just because of the nature of crowdfunding, it would be impossible. So
I don't know if it would even be a good thing.
Yeah. In the future. That's the thing.
I'm just
changing.
As far as the direct to consumer, I have been from the very, very beginning. Direct to consumer subscription model is where that needs to go. So crowdfunding is great for right now as indies, as small times as a new thing goes. But we all got to work on developing our email lists. We all got to work on developing relationship with customers. So at some point we can fund our own stuff ahead of time and then just do subscription implementation. Like we have a thousand subscribers who are paying ahead of time all the time for our books. We have that money up front ahead of time, crowdfunding style, but they're subscribers. We have the books produced on a cycle, even though the money's coming regular. So it seems like it's like not money on a cycle. If you look at the books, it would be confusing, but the money really works on a cycle. And so you're just in the middle of the cycle, so the money's consistently rolling in off the subscription base. That you can continue to produce these books because you got at least this many subscribers that are going to buy them every time because you're going to ship them out. You know what I mean? That's the winning model right there. Back to subscription. That's where we need to go. But to get
I think you're right.
But to get there, we have to build our fan base. We have to build the trusted thing. You know what I mean? That's the future. I mean, that as far as I can see it from how things are working right now, that's the future. However,
100% smart idea.
A subscription base, you're not going to get $25 a book on a subscription base because people don't want one book a year subscription. They don't want one book every 2 year subscription. They're going to want,
maybe 4
regular
books.
They're going to want 4 books to 6 books, maybe even 10 books, depending on what you can produce. You know what I mean?
Totally, man. So, we actually have to jump ship in like a second, man. If that's all right.
Yeah,
No, you can't leave.
Let's hit your perks real fast.
I don't want to
So
leave.
You have the 3 editions and posters, right? So how many posters are there?
So that's actually 3 posters that you get with that one, each one featuring the artwork that you see on each of the books. So you get the black and white, you get the definitive cover that I did, and then you've got Corey's variant there as well. And you get a digital copy with all of these perks. On top of that, each one is signed by both Corey and I. It's and this is our featured perk. It's doing really, really well. We had a new backer on that today, and it's one of my favorites. So A3, by the way, is 11.7 by 16.5 inches for the size of those posters. So it's a pretty big poster, and it is shipped to you flat in a packaging very similar to a
Gemini
what do they call them? Gemini mailer, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
It's fun that you can find a good flat that's that size. I was pricing out flats versus rolls, and I found a nice 12-inch wide by an 1.5 inch thick roll thing, and those roll up and fit right into there perfectly. An 11 by 17.
Nice, man. Sweet.
All right, so you have the just the definitive, which is just the book, and that's
that's $25 USD. Yep.
Right.
So that's just the definitive edition, and then underneath that you've got Corey's variant cover as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to get those separately, and look, Corey's cover is great. Some people like it better than my cover. I'm okay with that. It's a good cover. And that's $25 USD as well. Comes signed, digital version, and a little poster with those, I believe. And then you've got the black and white line art edition. So this is a black and white cover as well as black and white interiors with dialogue. And that's really to showcase the awesome, intricately crafted art of Corey and myself. This is a really popular tier that a lot of people have jumped on board with. Underneath that one, we've got another variant cover by Kanan White, again for $25 USD. Absolutely stunning cover. Love this one.
Kanan's the bomb.
He is the bomb. Then we got both the variant covers together. That doesn't include Kanan White's, however. That's just both mine and Corey's.
Right.
Yep.
And then underneath that, you've got the definitive edition with the black and white version. So that's $50 USD, basically the price of 2. And then underneath that one, you've got the definitive edition plus the variants. So this is the one where you're going to get the definitive edition, you'll get Corey's variant, and then you'll get Kanan White's variant on top of that.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
Okay, so that one's a great one. We've had 3 claimed. Fantastic. And this is the really big tier, right? So you get a ton of stuff with this one. You get an original sketch, which is more like a finished drawing from Corey Barton himself. It's an original. It's going to be drawn up just for you when you back this perk. It comes with 5 different books, right? So you get the definitive edition, you get the variant cover from Corey, you get the black and white version. Oh, sorry, it might be 4 books. Sorry. You get the so you get the black and white version, and then you get the original version of KOZOR, right? So that's the untouched artwork of Corey, untouched colors, untouched dialogue, the original form that KOZOR was created in. And there are some dramatic changes that we've made with the book and the higher definition version, essentially. So it's a great collector's item. And there's only going to ever be 50 copies of that book ever printed up. We don't know if we're going to print it again. So if you want a rare collector's item, highly suggest you jump on board with it.
Tell your brother to show that again, Corey.
Show that again, Corey.
Just a sec. Trying to find a good page. So it's like the original artwork.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool, man. And yeah, and you get posters with that one as well. You get 5 posters with that. It's a lot of great stuff.
Very, very
awesome,
nice.
Man.
So
cool.
Have you sold any more on top of that last update? Let's see. Nope, you're still so you at least just sold a book on the stream, and that's always nice.
Hell yeah, man! I really do appreciate that. Thanks so much, guys, for having us.
Yeah, there may be sales in the next couple of days because obviously when we broadcast on Facebook at the same time, and for like the next week there's people picking it up because they browse through the groups and they find a share or something like that, and they
sweet man. Well, one backer is plenty, man. It's hard to get people to jump on board. So thank you to whoever that was. I really do appreciate it, and Corey does as well.
Corey does
I
as well.
appreciate
That's
it,
awesome.
of course.
All right, guys, everybody, we're just gonna go ahead and end the
worries.
broadcast. You guys go ahead and hang out just
Later,
for a
guys.
second so we can end, and then thank you everybody for coming to the show, and we will see you